welcome back to Be the Whole You. My name is Gullveig. Today we're going to be looking at the skies above and the tarot below to get some insight on this new moon in Taurus on May 19th, 2023. This is an exciting one. There are some big things that are going on, so I'll just give us a little bit of a preface of what's happening in the skies before we get into the tarot part. So the moon and the sun, they're conjunct, they're on top of one another, as is the case with the new moon at 28 degrees in Taurus. And there's a few other things that are really interesting too, that Jupiter also went into Taurus on May 16th. So just a few days before this new moon, Jupiter goes into Taurus. Jupiter is associated with luck. It's associated with expanding anything it touches. And so the fact that it's at 0 degrees in Taurus, so it's in the same sign as this new moon, does, I think, play a part in expanding the energy of this new moon, even though they're not technically conjunct, but they are in the same sign. Also, the North Node is in Taurus at 2 degrees. We have a lot of stuff going on in Taurus. So Taurus is the sign that's associated with wealth. It's also associated with luck to a certain extent, love, intimacy, relationships, beauty, the sacred feminine. It's all the good things. So it's very sensual, and there's just a lot of Taurus energy going on. So for example, we have not only the sun and the moon in Taurus, the North Node in Taurus, but you also have Uranus, Mercury, and Jupiter all in Taurus. So Taurus is definitely highlighted in this new moon. So this is a really good time to just pay attention to the earth type of, because Taurus is very earthy. So this is a really good time to be contemplating things like, how much of a priority does beauty play in our life? Do we take time for joy? Is there a good opportunity to pay some special attention to our health, to our family, to our home? Perhaps our right livelihood. How do we make our money? Does that even work for us anymore? There's a lot of elements about Taurus, and especially with Uranus being in the play here. Uranus is the planet of change. This has been something that has come up in a few of our readings now, that the common theme is that the changes that are taking place are practical and tangible, that they're not just spiritual changes, that they are actually going to be changing our everyday life, our practical life. The other thing too that's really important here is Pluto. So I want to say a few things about Pluto, and just bear with me, because there is this flip-flopping that Pluto's going to be doing for the next 18 months or so. So it went into Aquarius on March 23rd. Now, when Pluto changes signs, it's a big deal. It's one of those planets that's considered to be like a generational planet because of how slow it moves. And when it moves, the energy that changes with it defines not just a month, but a whole generation. So for example, Pluto had not been in Aquarius for 248 years before March 23rd. So it's a big deal that it went into Aquarius. But what it's doing until November 19th of 2024, and I do have to look at my notes here because I'm going to be talking about the flip-flopping that Pluto's doing, and there's a lot of dates here. So March 23rd, it went into Aquarius. Then on June 12th, it's in retrograde right now, so Pluto is backing up and it's going to go back into Capricorn. And then it's going to stay there from June 12th, and then on June 20th, it's going to make its way back into Aquarius. So on June 20th, between June 12th and January 20th, it then comes out of retrograde, goes direct, and then it goes back into Aquarius on January 20th of 2024. Then on September 2nd of 2024, it goes back into Capricorn. And then on November 19th of 2024 is when it will finally station in Aquarius for the next 20 years. So it's a really big deal when it's moving. And like I said, it defines a generation. So what I see here with Pluto kind of going back and forth for this like next year and a half or so is that we're like sifting for gold. And this kind of sifting back and forth, because we might feel with this that we are taking 2 steps forward and then 2 steps back, and that might feel a little frustrating. But really, what's going on is that this is actually a gift in disguise because it's allowing to make changes in a more sustainable way. If Pluto just shifted into Aquarius and we didn't have this kind of going back and forth thing, the changes that are going to take place when it finally does station in Aquarius might feel really jarring and feel too quick and feel maybe not sustainable. So the new moons and the full moons every month for this next time period until November 19th of 2024, I see every month as being an opportunity to check in with that, because we are in a state right now astrologically where a lot of things are changing pretty on a pretty big scale. And so Pluto, when it changes, it's not going to just affect us individually, but it usually affects global politics, economics. It's the planet of death and rebirth. So right now we're in this transition phase where we're allowing ourselves to have time each month around the full moon, which is typically when we reanalyze and see what needs to go and what needs to be shed. And then the new moon is when we have the opportunity to plant new seeds, and then on the full moon to nurture those seeds. So basically the full moon is like when you weed your garden and you're fertilizing the garden and you're taking care of all of those pretty little plant babies that you have planted in the soil. And then the new moon is when we can take a look and be like, oh, that's what's working, great. So we plant more seeds. And then the full moon comes around, we're like, oh, that plant didn't work out, or this plant is getting congested by having a bunch of weeds around it. So then we start weeding the garden around the full moon. So the lunar alignments every month in this time period is a way in which we're sifting the gold. So we're like those old time cowboy movies where like those cowboys are like panning for gold. It's like that. So we're able each month to take a look at the panning for gold and say, okay, yeah, that looks like something I want to keep. I'll put that in my pocket. And take a look at something maybe a little bit more closely around the full moon and be like, oh, that's fool's gold. That's not actually real gold. That's just something glittery. So we can put that back in the soil. And so this time that we have in this particular new moon is yet another opportunity, especially because it's Taurus energy. So we really have an opportunity to get clear on, in our practical everyday life, in our home, our health, our relationships, what is working, and what isn't. And if there's been some things percolating in the back of your mind as far as like things that need to either change or new beginnings that you would like to create, now would be a really good time to germinate some of those. We don't have to push, we don't have to rush. In fact, this particular new moon is not about pushing, forcing. It's not about any kind of force. Sometimes the new moon will invite us to take action, like in a really kind of more fiery way, where it's more about self-expression and getting yourself out there and doing the things. This one is definitely more aligned with like sacred feminine energy, so like the law of attraction. This is a time to get quiet, to take some self-care, and to start resonating with what it is that we want. That's the energy of this new moon. It's not about necessarily going out and like pulling yourself up from your bootstraps and doing all the things. It's more about how do I need to feel to attract what it is that I truly want? And how might I nurture those intentions over the next year and a half to continue to align with what my heart truly wants. This is a really good moon to work with, like, in, intention setting, visualization boards, anything that's like long term, because this is not a moon where we're going to be getting any kind of spontaneous effects, really, but it is one. I mean, Taurus is the bull. Taurus is it is much more long-term kind of energy. Taurus is tenacious. Taurus can be stubborn, but the flip side of that is that the Taurus energy, it innately understands that anything worthwhile in life is worth having just a tad bit of patience and to see it through in the long run. So this is not about instant gratification, but it is about it's about the long game. And Venus, I mean, Taurus is associated with Venus, and that's one of the great things about this Jupiter-Venus energy that is dancing together, is that Venus, it sprinkles in a little bit of the luck in there. So it may not be instant gratification, but it is really potent energy that will give a little bit of grace and luck to those seeds that might take a little bit longer to grow. It takes a lot longer to grow a redwood tree than it does to grow a daisy. So that's kind of what we're looking at is what are your short-term goals? What are your short-term stepping stones? And how might those stepping stones lead you incrementally to ultimately where you might want to go? Venus went into Cancer on May 7th, and it's at 12 degrees in Taurus, and it's going to be there until June 5th. So Venus went into Cancer, and Venus is associated with Taurus as well. And why this is really interesting is because the moon is associated with Cancer, the sign of Cancer, and then we have Venus that's associated with Taurus. So these two energies, I looked at that as like, have you ever, like, this might be something more that, I don't know if everybody did this, but like when I was a kid, like I would go over to like, a friend's house, and we would sometimes swap, like it's called frock swapping. So we would, borrow each other's clothes, or perhaps even give each other like, oh, I'm not feeling this anymore. Do you want it? It's like that. That's kind of what I feel like the moon and Venus are doing right now, is that they are frock swapping. They are trying on each other's clothes. They're trying on each other's energy in a certain way, and they're communicating with each other with this exchange of Venus is mingling with Cancer energy. And then we have the moon that is trying on the Taurus energy, and they're both talking to each other, and it feels like there's like more empathy between the two. That the moon is associated with the subconscious, it's associated with the emotions, and then we have Venus, which is luck and wealth. And so then these two can communicate so that it will help us emotionally align with what it is that all of this Venus energy that's working through the sign of Taurus, so that we can emotionally align more with the kind of practical changes that Venus is saying is totally possible if we're willing to play the long game and not get too caught up with instant gratification. So that is the long and short of like what I see is going on astrologically. So let's see what the tarot has to say. So just join me in setting the intention that whatever part of this reading is pertinent to you and whatever situations or challenges that you're facing, set the intention that whatever part of the messages that come out in the cards, that the parts that are most important to you are going to be highlighted, that you're going to know, oh, that one's for me, that piece is for me. So And then join me also with setting the intention, asking our divine highest selves, what do we need to know or do the most at this time to help us align and leverage in the most healthy and beneficial way with this May 19th, 2023 new moon in Taurus energy. We have a jumper. When cards jump out of the deck, I always look at it as like that particular card. It's like really potent because it's like me, I have something to say. All right, one more shuffle. Okay. All right, so the very first card that came out of the deck is the Fool card reversed. So be cautious as far as, like we said, you know, the wanting to get instant gratification. Be cautious of any kind of like impulse. This is not the time to necessarily make rash decisions, but it is a time to make plans and to work in a very strategic way. Taurus is not the fastest moving energy, but it is very strategic, and it knows the value of slow and steady wins the race. On that note, to help this guy, the Fool, launch off into his new beginnings, we have the opportunity to reach out for some help and some resource. So finding a teacher, finding a mentor, a therapist, body worker, healer, you know, anybody of that nature, or just somebody who has been where we've been before, can give us the keys to be able to get some information or resource to help us overcome, this is the jumper, whatever disharmony it is that has come up. So Four of Wands is about harmony, it's about foundation. Right now what I'm seeing here is that a lot of us don't feel too harmonious about where our foundation is. And that makes sense because Taurus is about practical foundation. It is about beauty. It is about luck. It is about sensual pleasure, but it also is about practical value. So Taurus energy knows the value of things. It doesn't associate price with value. It knows how to assess whether or not something is a good investment in terms of not just monetarily, but also energetically. I think in the investment of time and energy is sometimes even more important than the monetary investment, because you can't really get your time back. You can make more money, but you can't really make more time. So the Hierophant is here to say that there is somebody out there who can be a guide or a teacher that will help you get the information needed. Or perhaps it's not even the information, it might just be a system or a way of organizing the information that you already have that will allow you to overcome whatever kind of disharmony might be happening right now. So be it perhaps you're not digging where you live anymore and you want to move, or perhaps the job just isn't fulfilling, or it's a grind and you're like, oh, there's got to be a better way. Or maybe there is some disharmony in the home life. There is somebody out there who can help. So really what the Fool would be helpful for him to be looking for is, instead of just leaping off into the unknown and like burning all bridges and being like, screw it, I'm gonna go do what I'm gonna do, or I just gotta change something. I've been there before, guys. I've made those decisions, but now's not the time for that. Now's the time for him to leap off into the unknown, but with the question of not what can I do, but who can help me? Who can help me? And that is going to bring us to a place. This is very, very interesting because we have two cards that come up, and together. And so when cards come up together, when they come out of the deck and they're kind of glued together, I look at this as almost like one card. And so we have the Four of Cups and we have the Star card. The Four of Cups is about reanalyzation. So we're reanalyzing our situation. The Hierophant is giving us either a new perspective or a way to organize our thoughts, or information or resource that we need to overcome the disharmony. And then that's going to put us in a place of deep contemplation. So taking some time out in this new moon to meditate, to journal, to take a walk, whatever it is that you need to do to clear the cobwebs out and to feel more mentally spacious, even if that doesn't mean that you have all of the answers right away, but have more mental focus, anything that just calms and centers and allows you to feel more less scattered. That is going to be really beneficial right now, because this new moon is going to probably put us in a place where we're going to be reanalyzing some things, and there will be some new information that will come to light, which will lead us to regeneration. The Star card comes up when we have been through a dark night of the soul and there's a light at the end of the tunnel. So this is about new beginnings, and it's associated with Aquarius. So and we have Pluto that is dancing between Aquarius and Capricorn for the next 18 months, which is no coincidence, my friends, that we have Pluto, which is the planet of death and rebirth, and we have these cards that are coming up around Aquarius energy, bringing up new regeneration, necessary changes, new beginnings as a result of allowing things to die, allowing things to be let go, allowing things that no longer serve us to finally just open up our hands and release it. And this might be beliefs, it might be patterns, it might be habits, or it could even be something more tangible like relationships. Something that's coming up around this card specifically. And so for whoever this might be for out there, I don't think that this message is for everyone. But there might be somebody who's watching this video where you might suspect that you are being taken advantage of, and not treated fairly, and that relationship might need to go. The reason why I say that is because on this card is a man on the bottom there who's literally getting stepped on by the horse. It's a pretty gnarly image. I won't disagree with that. So if you literally feel like you're being walked on in a relationship, whether it be a professional, personal, or intimate one, it's probably because you might be. It might not just be you. It might be actually the truth. And so that might be an indication that either boundary, space, or the relationship might need to be let go. So if that resonates for anybody out there, just know that, sending you much love, and that the message doesn't come through unless you're in a space to be able to actually do something with it. So if that is a message that's for you, just know that you're completely supported in making the necessary changes that you need. The other thing that comes up as kind of a side note here is the King of Pentacles reversed. So some of the disharmony that some of us are feeling is attached to monetary stuff. What's really great about this new moon is that if that is the area that needs the most attention in your life, that with all of this Taurus energy, Venus is the planet that is most associated with wealth. So with all of this Taurus energy, all of this Venus energy that is in this new moon, if that is the place that you need to make changes, then start asking for the universe to synchronistically bring into your sphere, into your bubble of your corner of the universe, someone that can advise you, or perhaps someone that has a financial opportunity for you, or someone who knows of the perfect job for you. Ask for the connections that you need. This new moon is more about making connections and less about, like I said, instant gratification. So for those of us where the money is the thing that we're going to be focusing on, there is somebody out there that can help. There's someone out there that can help. They either are like maybe a financial analyst, or perhaps they are somebody who knows of a new job or something of that nature. They hold the key. There's 2 keys here to that. And it might also, because of the death card, there might be something that needs to be let go of, like an unfulfilling job, or something that's coming to my mind. It might require somebody to move to take advantage of that opportunity. So there's a lot of movement that's going on, but it isn't going to charge forward. This is more about incremental movement. So bottom line is that if we can let go of what it is that we need to let go of with the death card, and we ask for assistance, and this is especially important for those of us who have a hard time asking for help. And ask for help, ask for assistance, ask for the universe to not bring us the what, but bring us the who. We will come to the conclusions that we need to create a really beautiful new trajectory for renewal, for rebirth. I look at the Star card as one of the best cards in the deck. Like when I see this, it's like, oh, hallelujah, like bring it, bring it, bring it. Yeah, it's in with the water bearer. It's going to feel like this replenishment eventually. May not happen tomorrow, but it definitely will put us on the right track. It's all about creating new foundations. So enjoy the journey, my friends. This is a really important new moon to take advantage of as far as self-care. Be gentle with yourself. This is a really good time to be connecting with friends, loved ones, family, to be connected, to have some fun. And I feel like the more we can sink into the pleasure of Venus, the self-care, the bubble baths, the scents, the clothes that feel good, the more that we will be energetically aligning ourselves with some of those delicious fruits for the future, even if those fruits might take a little bit in order to grow. They're worth it. This new moon is saying it's worth it. So take exquisite care of yourself. Be nice to yourself. Be good to yourself. Take some time to have some fun. Take some time to enjoy yourself. And if it aligns with you, to connect with loved ones and people that feel uplifting when you're around them. This is really, like I said, a new moon that's about alignment. So many blessings to you all. If you are needing a private reading, or if you are looking at increasing joy in your life and would like some assistance with inner child healing or resolving any kind of blocks that might sabotage that joy, then take a look at BeTheWholeYou.com, and on there you can schedule an appointment either virtually or in person at my office in Tempe. And I look forward to seeing you guys in a couple weeks, where we're going to take a look at the full moon and yet another milestone in this Pluto transitionary phase of 2023 and 2024. Many blessings to you all. Bye-bye.